backlog. Hopefully you are having a wonderful day. It is about 9 o'clock in the morning here, and it wasn't a bad night. Got a decent amount of sleep, so feeling pretty good. To go ahead and get the day started off right, let's go ahead and talk about the SSSVEDA topic of the day. I'm filming this on the 6th, which means we're going to talk about day 7. I do these one day in advance. The topic for day 7 is what comes to mind when you think of spring. And I know the appropriate answer, the thing you're supposed to say is it's the end of winter, you're getting back into very nice days where you're able to go outside and play, and in my experience, unfortunately, the coming of spring means the changing of the seasons, which means all sorts of allergy and sinus related issues, which are so much fun. On the bright side of that, it does mean usually that I end up sounding like Barry White for a day or two. So if you're not familiar with him, go to YouTube and look up Can't Get Enough of Your Love. And yes, the other traditional wonderful things about spring, I do definitely enjoy that. Being able to get outdoors and go for walks and runs, being able to go outside and run without absolutely freezing is wonderful, except here in Kentucky, the weather can't seem to make up its mind. So one day it'll be 60 or 70 degrees outside, it'll be beautiful, kind of a cool breeze. The next day it'll be like 30 or 40 degrees. Last night when I went to go run, for example, it was in the high 30s, low 40s, and it was nice and chilly out there. It actually did make it a little bit easier to run fast though, because I wasn't overheating. So it's kind of a mixed bag. But yeah, it's just very much unfortunate that when I think of spring, I think of seasonal allergies. And by the way, because I think I've forgotten to mention it before, I've mentioned that I'm doing this as a part of the SSSVEDA with Amy Schmidauer, SavvySexySocial.com. But if you'd like to see what other people are doing for it, you can actually go to Twitter and look up the hashtag SSSVEDA. If you see my videos posted on there for the next month, I'm actually using that hashtag as a part of the title, so it immediately goes into that same filtered list. So if you go to my Twitter account, you can actually click on that and go to the whole list of everybody posting about it. There's this nice little community that's building up around it, and I'm really enjoying being a part of that community. I'm watching other people's videos, commenting on them. People from SSSVEDA are coming to this channel and watching my videos and commenting. So definitely thank you guys for coming and watching. Thank you for being here. Hopefully you enjoy this and decide to stick around. I've actually been doing this daily vlogging thing for about 8 months now, and I'm really enjoying it as long as I can find the time to do it. And I've got tons of emails coming in, so I better go deal with that. That's an interesting one. I uploaded a quick video to the channel, just went live about 20 minutes ago, showing the 4K on the iPhone SE. And what I've got here, I've got a still pulled up full screen from YouTube and VLC Player. So this is the local file that I uploaded to YouTube. This is the processed one that YouTube did. And you can see the color has actually changed as a result of YouTube's processing. Go through and look at all of them. You see the right one, it's much more saturated. It's got a lot more red to it. The one on the left, the one on YouTube, is a lot sort of a greener, bluer tint to it. And just as you go along, you see the right-hand side is still just more and more. This one really showed it off. This last one, the left-hand side, I look positively green, but on the right, it looks like proper skin tones. YouTube did a number on it. Valuable lesson learned. I went back and rewatched the rendered video on YouTube, the raw iPhone 4 video, not raw, the one that I've edited inside of iMovie on the iPhone. And there are some skips and some stutters as a result of iMovie, apparently. So I'm uploading the raw, unedited one, the not touched one, to see how YouTube processes it, if it changes the colors or anything, and just to give people a point of comparison. This is what video straight out of the phone is gonna look like, and I'm sure at some point I'll end up uploading more videos from it. Like I'm probably gonna be doing some comparison videos between the iPhone SE and the Galaxy S7. Maybe a comparison between I don't know, I'm very, very tempted to compare all of these phones, or several of them, to the Osmo using the hardware stabilizer, because I have the KumbaCam hardware stabilizer. It's a 3-axis gimbal for smartphones, and I'm very, very tempted to walk around with that outside with the Osmo right beside it and just do like back and forth pan shots, and here's what it looks like on one versus the other. And the problem is when I say I want to do that, I never end up doing that. And I need to. I'm getting to the point where actually, I've told you guys before, I have this massive backlog of videos that have to be done. My massive backlog, I say as I point at these things you're not actually seeing, my massive backlog is pretty much gone because I've been ridiculously efficient in video making over the last few days. I do have a few more things that have to be done, like I need to do something with this little hexacopter, probably a disassembly video. I looked it up. This has a 450 milliamp hour battery in it, so I'm gonna have to find another battery to replace that with and see if I can get it working. The ViewMaster VR headset would have been very timely and very nice to do if I had done it at the time. Unfortunately, they've already announced a second version of it, so that video is almost not worth doing. The Gear VR, it's definitely timely and needs to happen. I need to go ahead and do it like today. So maybe that's what I'll do. I think later today, Christina's actually taking Duncan to the dentist. So if she takes Duncan to the dentist, if I'm here alone for longer than anticipated and I'm able to get my day job stuff done, I may go ahead and do Gear VR later today and we'll just see. You know, I don't want to go making big plans and then have them all fall through like they normally do. But it's time for morning meeting. And a package has arrived from FedEx. From Huawei through FedEx. Although I think I may need to tell my contacts over at Huawei that I'm not with XDA anymore. Because every time they send me something, it says Jordan Keys, XDA developers, and then the address. Sorry. But yeah, Huawei said they were going to send me out the watch again, the Huawei watch, the Watch, because they recently did a couple of updates to it, adding in the ability to talk on the phone using it. Yes, the watch can act as a phone, as long as it's paired to a phone. It can make and receive phone calls. So I'm probably going to make a quick video about that for my channel. But yeah, in case you're curious, same Huawei watch I did videos about a little while back. Nothing has changed other than maybe a little bit of software. Happy dance time. Things are working. Awesome. There's some sort of a weird quirkiness to, okay, step back. I'm working with Rails 4, Ruby on Rails. If you're not familiar with it, programming framework thing. And in particular, I'm putting something on top of it called Bootstrap. It's very simple. It's usually pretty easy to work with. But on top of that, I'm putting a date time picker so that if you go into one of the pages on the site and give it a start date or an end date or a scheduled date or whatever, it pulls down this cute little box and allows you to pick exactly where it is on the calendar. JavaScript stuff, it's not terribly complicated to add it. The problem is it was taking that date and trying to throw it into the database, and Rails was looking at that date and saying, this isn't right, this is outside of the range, because it would be like February 28th, and it would say 2/28, and then it would reverse it because the date time picker would say day, month, year, just like the European standard would more be other parts of the world, non-US parts of the world, I suppose. But the date time picker does it the other way around, where it does month, day, year, the way that I tend to do it, I guess. It's just more common over here. So I did some reading around and I figured out there was a way you can actually go into the model of the thing that you're working with and say, when you're given a date, if that date is being assigned to something, do it this other little way here. Format it this one specific way. And it works, and I'm good, and I'm happy with that. That's like a week's worth of work done because of this one silly little, there were like 7 little silly things that weren't working quite right, and now they appear to be working relatively right. That was potentially a bit of a mistake. I decided I wanted to make a video. I needed to make a video. It's been a few days since I have, so it was time. And just looking through my list of videos to make, one of the ones that I've been sort of putting off that I need to finish up is for this little Yizon hexacopter, little tiny nano hex. It's not even nano, it's pretty close. It's like a micro hex with a 720p camera built into it. But the problem is the battery is dead, which means I have to completely disassemble it and try to replace the battery as a part of the video. So I got to this point where I have actually disassembled pretty much the entire thing. I left some of the motors in there, I left everything connected, and I basically just need to desolder these 2 wires, pull the battery out, and replace it. I just don't want to do it. I'm gonna have to go out to the garage and get my soldering iron, bring it in here. I've got a whole soldering station and everything. I just gotta bring it all in, hook it all up, desolder it, find a different battery, probably cut the leads off of it, and then resolder, and yeah. I'm just not feeling it. And the problem is that's such a weird size. It's 450 milliamp hour, but look at the size it is and what it fits into. I've probably got some 300s or 380s that might fit in there. I don't know if I have anything that's close to 450. I'll have to look. I mean, the worst case scenario, I put something a little smaller, like a 300 or a 350. I mean, just looking around, I've got a 300 sitting here on the shelf, 325C, 3.7 volt. I could technically just cut the leads off of this, cut the plug off of it, and use that or use something like that. And I know I've got some 500s, but I don't think they would fit. Again, I don't even feel like doing it. I don't know why, I just don't want to solder at this point. Maybe I'll move on to the Gear VR unboxing. I think that might be some fun. I've already looked at the Gear VR, I've already tested it out, and I've got the Oculus app on all of my devices, so the unboxing would basically be, here's what comes in the box, let's set it up. Wow, this is really cool and immersive. Sorry, I can't show you. And I just spent entirely too much time on it, but I finally got around to unboxing the Gear VR. And yeah, that video, I don't even know how it's gonna turn out. There was not a huge amount that I could actually show simply because it's a VR headset. So I was able to get the camera up against it and got it to capture some stuff. I'm gonna have to pull it all in and try to edit and see what happens, but it's a little later than I wanted to. I've gotta go get Ellis. Well, it's raining and it's kind of gross out here, but if you can see him in the little mirror there, I have a boy, and he apparently had just an excellent day. Well, Ellis had his bottle. He and I have been just sort of sitting here waiting. Christina, like I said, she had to take Duncan to the dentist, and then she had to run to the grocery store, and then by the church, and then by this, that, and the other. It's now about 6:30, and they're just, from what I heard, about to walk in the door. And I just heard Duncan say pizza. Yep, pizza. Long day. Duncan is in bed. I took the trash out and somehow managed to get a cardboard cut in between my fingers, so that's awesome. Ellis just had his bath. He seemed to be enjoying it. She said he's in here trying to laugh. You laughing? Nope.
Not now, I'm not.
I know, it says be funny. Okay, I've seriously got to finish up the review about this little camera. I have dropped it so many times on this hardwood floor, on concrete, everywhere. And it has survived, no questions asked. I've dropped it on concrete probably half dozen times or more. There's some dings and nicks in the microphone. Still works just like the day I bought it. It creaks and it groans, but it's solid as a rock. And you know, you can see we're in relatively dim light and it still looks pretty decent and sounds excellent. I mean, the microphones on this, just wow. Anyway, Christina has gone ahead and headed to bed. She said she was just about to pass out. We were actually sitting in there. I was holding Ellis while he fell asleep. He's completely out, if you didn't guess. But I was sitting in there catching up on some videos on my RSS server using the iPhone. And I was actually able to cast these to the screen using Chromecast. And we were sitting there watching Rhett and Link torture themselves with massage devices. It was very interesting. And I will say, after having used this as a primary device for the whole day, I'm at 50% battery life. And it's 10:15 p.m. I've done loads of emails, loads of video watching, loads of Snapchat stuff and Twitter and just Hangout messages. This is ridiculous. They were talking about how this is probably got a better battery life than the iPhone 6s, I guess. And I can definitely see that. And unfortunately, it looks like my experience with iMovie on the Mac, I've had an amazing experience with it. It's so fast. It's made my process so easy. It's very much unique to the setup that I've got. My work set me up with a ridiculously powerful laptop, meaning it's the mid-2014 15-inch Retina MacBook Pro, Core i7, 16 gigs of RAM, NVIDIA GT750, 512 gig flash SSD drive. Not entirely the top of the line that you can get, I don't think, but it's pretty close. So, of course, when I put stuff into iMovie, it's just going to chew through it like nobody's business. It's going to get done in a minute or two. I say that because my buddy Nick messaged me, and he's been trying iMovie because he's getting ready to go on a trip and wanted to be able to edit videos with his MacBook while he's on the go. But he's got an older MacBook Air, which means lower power, lower speed, and he said it's taking like 10 minutes to do a 2-minute video, whereas I'm able to do like a 20-minute video in 2 minutes. That's a pretty significant difference. I'm guessing NVIDIA has a lot to do with that, as well as newer, faster cores and the RAM. That definitely stinks, because there's this part of me, like this big of a part of me, that was thinking if something goes wrong and for some reason I don't have my MacBook Pro anymore, like if I changed jobs or changed companies even, and they decided to take this back, then I would have to buy some sort of a Mac to be able to continue editing this way. And the cheapest way to get in is with the MacBook, or Mac Mini. And the Mac Mini is nowhere near the same performance level. Maybe I can go into the Apple Store at some point. Like, I'm going to have to take this phone back at some point anyway. Maybe I'll go in there with an SD card and see if they'll let me edit an iMovie for a little bit. Because if I can edit on the Mac Mini, on the low-end Mac Mini, then I'll know that I'm okay. Anyway, as you can probably guess by the little one sitting next to me, I'm probably not going to get a whole lot more done tonight. I hope that you guys had a wonderful day. I had a very nice, relaxing day. I got accomplished the things I wanted to get accomplished. I still didn't finish the Gear VR video. I'm going to have to go back and finish that up. And actually, I've got a few more in mind that I'm going to be working on as well, if I can find the time. So that is going to wrap things up for me for today. Thank you so much for spending the day with me and the family, but probably mostly me. And I will see you again tomorrow. Bye, guys.